Sie hören Sport und Musik.
Das Spiel ist aus! Deutschland ist Weltmeister!
In a world where fans fight over whether to call it football, or soccer, two German men defy the odds and call it Fußball. Bringing you inside the German-American football experience. And now, here are your hosts, the Schnitzel Boys.
Hello.
Oh, hello. Hello.
Do you remember Allo, the BBC show from back in the day?
No.
It's a BBC show about the German occupation of France. There's a bunch of French people. It was like a comedy, but they were like in Germany occupied France. Well, it's an old school British show. Recommend it. It was recently invoked on a cover of some British newspaper. Anyway, welcome to the Germany Hour.
Yes.
The Bundesliga is back with a bang.
Bundesliga is back.
An amazing weekend.
It was very good. I mean, unless you're a Bochum fan, which I am.
It was like the one sad game. I guess the Mainz fans aren't super happy. Yeah, Sebas, my Mainz lost for the first game. Mainz missed 2 penalties in the game.
They sure did. Same guy. Same guy. Terrible.
Yeah, they were both. Mainz is a beautiful city. I've been there 3 times. Bad. But I also was. Who were both bad? Mainz and Bochum. You're saying?
No, the 2 penalties were very bad.
Both very bad. One was a sloppy limp to the right. One was a sloppy limp to the left.
Yeah,
he had himself a rough game. What's his name? He's that big dude from Mainz. I like that
guy. Aladu.
Hey, I'll do.
What?
I'll do. I'll do. I will do.
Wait, is that not his name?
No, I have no idea.
His name is Ajorque, not Aldu. Ajorque. I don't know what I was remembering there. That wasn't it. Anyway, that game, Union Berlin looked good, but they got a little. They did get a little lucky because, they gave up 2 pens. Brendan Aronson had a good game.
Brendan Aronson had a decent game. I missed the very beginning of that because I was driving home in the hurricane.
Well, they were already too. How did the hurricane go for you, Stefan? Are you okay? I was worried about you. I was all weekend. I was really concerned.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You left me on red all weekend.
I was too concerned to respond to your text messages.
No, so I work nights, and a Category 4 hurricane or whatever it is, not 4, just a hurricane was coming through, and it was supposed to hit me during my work shift. The worst was Sunday night into Monday, which was my work. So I drove. Everything wasn't even raining. It was fine to work, but then the exit to work was flooded. So to drive through a little pond, and I didn't like to do that. You shouldn't do that because water wrecks your car. And I was unhappy to do that. But then on the drive back, I chose a different route. But this would have been, the Union Berlin game would have been that morning. And I was driving home from work, and I went to Walmart to get supplies, just in case. You gotta get your supplies. I got water.
I bought a bunch of water. What kind of supplies? What were you like? This is what I absolutely need.
A lot of Pringles. There's this brand called Ugly Chips. I got the pretzel cheese pretzels that I like. I got
ugly
that.
Chips. They're chips that make you ugly.
They're called Ugly Chips. I think they're like, I don't know. It's some branding where the chips are ugly. I don't know. It's just, it was barbecue chips, like barbecue chips. I got a lot of that. I got a bunch of croissants. I got some water. I got the see-through alkaline water because it was fancy, and a couple other bottles of Walmart branded alkaline water. I got a bunch of fruits.
Can't be running when the hurricane comes. You got to have plenty of alkaline in your house.
Plenty of alkaline. But that's what's funny about it. So if you buy one thing, it's water. And I bought a case of water, I bought a gallon of water, and I bought a bunch of these little alkaline bottles, right? And I also bought Gatorade. So you need Gatorade. And then anyway, so I got my Gatorade, I got frozen pizza, I got a bunch of mac and cheese. You know, my supply game was excellent, on point.
Frozen,
and
if your freezer, if there's no electricity, you're going to have to eat all those frozen pizzas in the same sitting.
In the oven, come on now, the oven is gas operated. But I also got a bunch of canned food for that very reason. A bunch of rice, a bunch of canned food as like a total baseline thing. But anyway, I go to the Walmart checkout counter and they say,
"Did you?" I'm sorry, I have more questions. Did
Please.
you make any calculations? It's like, well, if I need 3 weeks worth of, or you just you're like, all right, let's just.
No, I was like, this hurricane isn't really going to be much. It's going to be a dud. I've lived through many hurricanes before, and they're all duds.
Frozen pizza is good in any weather.
It's good in any weather. But no, you know what's disgusting about this frozen pizza? I couldn't fit it in my freezer. It's too big.
Oh.
So I had to make it that day. So I put it in my fridge for the afternoon because I go to sleep when I get home. And then I made it that night for dinner. And it was as disgusting as you think it was. I mean, I burned it, but like I just don't like frozen pizza. I'm a pizza snob. I like it fresh. But anyway, I go to the checkout counter and she scans my water and they're regarded as do not sell. And she removed the water and said I couldn't buy these and leave the store with them. Have you ever heard that before? And I was like, well, hold on. I bought it. It's off the shelf. Check it out. Said, no, there's a recall. I can't sell you these. I don't know. I'm like, on water? The recall is on water? Like, the water's expired or something? Yeah, did someone pee in it? What's a recall on bottled water?
At Trader Joe's, they often have these kinds of signs at checkout. And they're always pretty wild. Like you had the other day, what was it? I was at and they said, if you bought our mashed potato mix, please don't eat it. It may contain rocks.
Like, oh, I think I saw that.
What's the story here? Like, how did they find this out? Like what? Like, oh, you know shit, somebody threw rocks. Somebody threw rocks in the mashed potato mix. We got to put the signs.
You know what this means? It means that Trader Joe's has warehouses full of young children making their food for them. And the little potato powder. They're like, looks like rocks. And they play and they throw rocks in it. That's what that means. It means Trader Joe's.
It's the only possible explanation.
It's the only possible explanation is made by kids. So, but I got enough water and ended up being a total dud, never lost power. I think Palm Springs got hit a little bit harder than us. But there was also an earthquake at the same time as the hurricane. It was a hurricane. It was a 5.5. It was a hurricane.
That's terrifying.
In our modern era of angry weather, like thunder, snow, and all this crap, now we got a hurricane. So we have the wildfires up north. We have the 5.5 magnitude hurricane up north in Ojai. And then we have the hurricane coming. And I was like, well, the hurricane needs to go meet the fires ASAP, right? That's God solving its own problem. It's like, let's go. But the hurricane went off in a different direction. I think it's going to Vegas now. I think Vegas is now covered in floods.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. But here in the desert, we'll take it. We need it. And it was literally just a nice little rainstorm. It's like, cool, we need it. We'll take it.
I was in Vermont over the weekend. There was lots of rain in Vermont this year. Incredible amounts of rain. No flooding this time, but still, again, a lot of rain.
That's rarer over on this side of the coast. So we're happy to get it. Hans Wolf, Stefan, we were supposed to eventually meet in Valhalla, but for now, I'd much rather drink some beer with you here on this earth plane for the time being. Amen, brother. Let's do it. You know what I should share? I just realized I had a freeze frame of all of us watching that, the NYCFC Costa Rica club game, Comunicaciones or whatever. Hans Wolf, you must be in that photo then, if you were standing kind of in front of us.
I believe so. Yeah, he was right there.
I need to go dig up that photo and put that up somewhere. I freeze framed us in the TV thing. I don't know if you know.
If you can find it, I will point out Hans for you.
I will, and maybe we'll put it up on the pod. Okay, so the Bundesliga opened this week with a bang, and we previewed a break. I was just talking with Bjorn in the off in between about how frustrated I am with the Paramount Plus app. I couldn't watch AC Milan today. It just wouldn't load. And whenever the Champions League's on, sometimes it doesn't load then either. It's a piece of crap. Thank God the Champions League is also on Tudiene, so I can watch it there if I need to. But with Serie A, I'm SOL. If the app's not loading, which it didn't load on my phone or my TV, I'm SOL. I couldn't watch Christian Pulisic's debut today. But you know what loaded just fine? What's it called? The Goal Arena? What they call it? Something. English Conference.
Yeah. Goal Arena. No.
Goals Arena or something. Yeah, what's the English one called?
A Goal Zone.
Goal Zone. We had Goal Zone this weekend. And boy, oh boy, it was a lot of fun. That might be my new favorite way to watch the Bundesliga. Unless I'm focused on an individual game, it's a great way to catch them all at the same time.
Wait, are you talking about Germany or the Prem now?
No, Germany.
You just said England. Okay.
No,
in Germany, it's Goal Arena. Goal Arena.
In English, the Goals Arena.
Goal Arena, yeah.
Yeah. Now, the Prem I can care less about. They can go,
okay.
Unless it's Tyler
It's
Adams.
called Goal Zone on NBC, whatever.
Well, Goal Arena on Hulu, ESPN Plus. I always watch on Hulu, better interface. Because ESPN Plus takes the second place after Paramount Plus as being a twitchiest, crappiest little app.
I've never had trouble with Paramount Plus. But okay.
Paramount Plus?
I have lots of trouble with ESPN. I'm usually okay with Paramount Plus. Well,
maybe I need to update it or something, unbeknownst to me. Who knows? Anyway, so first and foremost, let's start at the beginning, right? We had Bayern München, Werder Bremen. Bayern München had a sloppy Leagues Cup, 3-0 loss. What's his face? That fraud who's their head coach. What's his name? Thomas Tuchel.
What has he ever done to you?
He had to have an emergency meeting with the board, and they had to explain to him that they did not like the way he spoke to the media. They did not like the way he behaved on the sideline. This happened.
What did he say? What did he say? What did he do?
He threw his team under the bus. He's like, it looked like they haven't practiced in 6 weeks. Can you believe it? And everyone's like, Tuchel, that's your job. You do the practice. He's doing the Jose Mourinho thing where he's not even involved. It's like not even his club. He's like going to the press. Did you see that crap? Can you believe how crappy that was? Meanwhile, he's the head coach. So Uli Hoeneß and the gang already told him, "Nein." Be like, you fucking put up or shut up. And then this weekend, Werder Bremen, Harry Kane, it was a 4-0 win. A little misleading because they didn't really get their goals to the very, very end.
Yeah, it was not quite. It was not quite as lopsided as the score line suggests. But Harry Kane did well, though. Showed up all his skills. Had a beautiful assist for the first goal in midfield, and then in the end was also a proper number 9 and scored it himself. Yeah, it was a good game for him.
Yeah, and all scenes leading to Bayern München ready to go. Freight train started. Good on Bayern München, Werder Bremen, a little hat ein bisschen Pech gehabt. They didn't look bad, but against Bayern München, everybody looks bad. And then Harry Kane got his debut, so that's starting, and la la la. Then the next day we had how many games at the same time? 5, right?
5 games, and we had the new conference, which was really good.
Yeah, we had
Goal Arena.
The big Goal Arena. The big game was the Verfolgers duel.
The Verfolger duel, yeah. Bayer Leverkusen against RB Leipzig, and that game was good.
It was a good game. And RB Leipzig coming off a 3-0 victory over Bayern with a Danny Olmo hat trick. But when they went to Leverkusen, it was Leverkusen's game. And Xabi Alonso is looking like it's working. It's looking like every season we always start the season with, oh, watch out for Bayer Leverkusen. And it's never a thing. This is the first year where it's like, oh, that's a thing. Their team's playing good. They're playing tight. They're playing well. They got that Spanish style going with the Xabi Alonso. It's working. They handled RB Leipzig, arguably the best team outside of Bayern München in Germany, and they were able to take care of them 3-2. So well done, Bayer Leverkusen. They are now a team to watch every week. Keep your eye on them. Did you have any thoughts on the Bayer Leverkusen-Leipzig game?
No, I agree with what you said. I thought Leipzig also looked good late. They could have perhaps stolen a point. I mean, Leipzig also looking pretty solid, considering that they really lost a lot of quality talent. Guardiol, Soboslai, Nkunku,
Konrad Laimer.
and Konrad Laimer. Yeah, that's 4 starters right there. And and they seem to have replaced them pretty well. So they're also still on my radar. Then the next, the derby of the superfluous, Wolfsburg against Heidenheim, two teams that if they hadn't played, how many people would have noticed if that game?
Right. I mean, Wolfsburg Stadium is as empty as usual. There's something, and then Heidenheim was their Bundesliga debut, but Wolfsburg handled them a comfortable 2-0. Kevin Paredes on the bench for that. Young American Kevin Paredes, I have to keep more of an eye on. So good for Wolfsburg. They got the 3 points. My worry about Wolfsburg is Volkswagen. I mean, that's the German in me. I just hope things go okay. From what I understand, it's a lot of shifts are being lost, and Wolfsburg isn't all right, which is leading to people not going to games because they're not as rich as they used to be.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have as much disposable income. So that's the sad story about Wolfsburg. But it's also part of a story I want to get into in a little bit. But right now, I just want to review a couple of these scores. Then you had our boy Pellegrino Matarazzo and our boy John Brooks against Freiburg, against Christian Streich and the Freiburger. Now, it was a 2-1 game. Christian Streich was hugging everybody, kissing everybody in the game, but he won the World Cup. The passion of that man sees no bounds. So, unfortunately, Pellegrino starts the home game with a loss. Not great. But someone had to win. And then one of the best games of the weekend, if not the best, was
the Augsburg. Yeah, that was wild. That was a wild game.
Banger. And it was 4-4 at the end of it, but started with Gladbach leading 3-1. They were confidently ahead.
Yeah, they came out strong. Which I don't know. Gladbach, you never know, especially this year. It's like, what are they going to be? It was unclear. And then the beginning, they looked like world beaters, and then they kind of pissed it all away at the end.
Yeah, I think it was 3-1 at the half, maybe, or something. But then Augsburg was able to pull it back, and then it was like 4-3 at the end there. And then it went from 3-1 to 4-3 leading at the WWK Arena, and it was amazing. And then Gladbach got a penalty at the death, which I thought was not a penalty, right? I thought they were robbed a little bit. There was a foot, but I didn't see much contact. You could see him missing it. I felt the penalty was kind of soft. I felt they were robbed a couple of points. But overall, great game featuring one Joe Scally. Joe Scally started
NYCFC legend, Joe Scally.
NYCFC legend, Joe Scally. Started for Gladbach, right back. And then, do you want to take it away with this other game here?
Well, I mean, if Bochum here, my team, I got the shirt on. The Bochum, before the season, there was the talk of we kept the team. We have some quality. We're going to have a more varied approach. We're not going to be one-dimensional. We're going to set our sights a little higher. And that lasted about 35 seconds or whatever. Yeah, it was a pretty pathetic display, but I'm glad that these delusions of grandeur hopefully have been immediately expelled, and we can go back to being with our backs against the wall, because that's really the only way this team is gonna survive. If they think that they're gonna set their sights on higher regions of the table, then that's the kiss of death. So hopefully that's been immediately dispelled. We wanted to make sure that we have the worst goal differential for the entire season, like last year. That's mission's been accomplished. Down 5-0. Yeah, it was terrible. It was a terrible display, completely toothless. And so hopefully
we're going back to the whole Bochum is, because last year you were gloomy the whole season, but they fought last year I thought we would be last the whole time, and it was true for a lot of it, but then found a way back. So hopefully the same thing will happen. I don't know. This was not encouraging. And Stuttgart, I mean, maybe hopefully this will mean that Stuttgart is much improved, and they're looking great under Sebastian Hoeneß.
But I don't know. We'll find out. We have Dortmund next. I mean, it's not going to get any easier. So Yeah, I don't know. I'm concerned.
Well, you should be. I mean, who were their big? Did they have any big? They broke the record by signing $1 million player, right?
Well, there were a couple of new people. I mean, first of all, the good part is we didn't lose anybody important, really.
Yeah.
I mean, the beginning of last season, they had lost a bunch of people and really took kind of a while to replace them. On paper, I was more optimistic this year, but then, like I said, always these ideas of like, oh, we're going to be better this year. Like if you start talking like that before the season starts, that's usually the kiss of death. So to be continued. Dortmund beat Köln 1-0.
Right.
That was a pretty lame. I didn't see a whole lot of that particular game, but it seemed like that was pretty
slog.
It was a pretty tired kick around, which they won, but like sort of got away with one was the general consensus. Yeah.
Well, it's the same. Their last competitive game was that game they choked in that stadium, not 2 or 3 months ago, against Mainz. And now this is their next game against
Köln. Yeah.
I meant they choked against Mainz. And then it was at 2-2. Now it's their next game at the stadium. There's a psychological aspect to it, maybe. It was a slog. Köln gave them a great game, but they did end up winning 1-0. They got the 3 points, so it could have gone worse. But who knows? Like I said, Borussia Dortmund is still a large enigma to me. It's a psychologically, are they still damaged? Speaking of damaged, Gio still damaged.
Gio
Reyna a couple of weeks.
Is MIA again getting ready?
He's made of glass.
Yeah, I don't know.
Chipotle.
What is it?
I want to sit all the American players in a room and be like, you guys need to stop eating Chipotle.
Is that the problem?
Maybe. Drink milk, get stronger bones, eat healthier, eat a bunch of broccoli. I don't know what to tell you. All I know is you guys are injured all the time when you made of glass, especially little Gio Reyna. You got to stay healthy for us, okay, bud? And for Dortmund, their new look Dortmund, their Jude Bellingham less Dortmund. Rumors are Marius Wolf is being courted by Saudi Arabia. I mean, there's a chance they might lose him. We're in this weird world where Saudi Arabia's transfer window is open longer than everybody else's, so they can steal people, and then the clubs can't fight back. Like if Dortmund loses Marius Wolf, the window's closed. They can't sign anyone to replace him. So I'll keep my eye on that. Hopefully he'll stay. And then there was a really fun game. And then those were the Saturday games, and there's the Sunday games. Union Berlin handling Mainz well. Like I said, not great for Mainz, but Union Berlin. Brendan Aronson had himself an assist, right?
Yeah, pretty decent. Did he get an assist? He was definitely involved.
Maybe a hockey assist.
Yeah, maybe an MLS assist, not a real, or
real
MLS assist. Yeah, no, I don't think he got an actual assist, but he was. He tried. He definitely was under instruction to show some muscle, whatever he could muster, and he was throwing himself into one-on-one duels like there was no tomorrow. And I think he pretty successful. I think he was good. That team is deep. Weirdly, Union Berlin is weirdly.
They have a lot of players.
It's weirdly deep. Like they are sort of shockingly well positioned for the Champions League. I mean, for a team like that, I mean, it's kind of it's sort of impressive, this roster that they have.
They have 30 senior
they have
players
assembled. I mean, they have fallen. This guy Behrens got a hat trick. Jordan Pifok's not going to get any time probably. Becker was on the bench. He didn't even start. I mean, I'm sure the window's still open. I'm sure one or two of those are gonna probably go somewhere else. But that's pretty luxurious roster for a team, that you'd expect to be financially conservative. So good for them.
They have some firepower. Yeah, they have 30 senior players. Most teams tend to have 25. They are getting ready for their war on multiple fronts. They've got the Champions League at the Olympiastadion this year. Those are going to be big, fun games, probably maybe some sellouts. And then they've got the Bundesliga and the Pokal this year, and they have a lot. They have a lot for what traditionally is a very small club. So they just fluffed out. I mean, they got Rainy Kadira. They've got they just have a decent. They could have a few injuries and rest a few players, and they built themselves ready for some rotation. And good for them. And they look sharp. They look good under Urs Fischer. And let's hope Brendan Aronson keeps it up. Like I said, his criticism was his physicality. And like you said, he showed up and he's like, screw my physicality. I got this. And good for him. And speaking of Aronson, there's another Aronson called Paxton Aronson. He was on the books on Tough Frankfurt, but did not make an appearance in the squad. The last game of the week was a 1-0 win for Frankfurt over new Bundesliga team Darmstadt. Now, also kind of a little bit of a snoozer.
I didn't watch the whole game, but that was another. I mean, Frankfurt also, again, they're holding on to Kolomwani, so they also, I mean, they have ambitions. They fired their coach because he couldn't deliver,
couldn't contain his emotions,
couldn't deliver in the Bundesliga. So they have their sights to the upper echelons. This did not inspire a lot of confidence, but it's early days.
Yeah, under Dinosaur Topmüller. And there you go. That was the opening weekend of the Bundesliga. I thought it was really exciting. A lot of fun games.
A lot of goals.
Good quality, ready to go. I mean, what are your my big takeaways are Bayer Leverkusen are a team to watch, right? Keep your eye on them. Yeah. Bayern München are the same old Bayern München. Borussia Dortmund need more convincing, and Union Berlin are off for the start. So, I mean, the awards for best teams are probably Bayern, Bayer, and Union, right? I would say those are the three teams that open with a bang.
Wait, who?
And, I got Stuttgart too, 5-0, but
yeah, they're not gonna win the league.
Yeah, I think the quality. Bayer Leverkusen did it to RB Leipzig, and Bayern did it to Werder, and then Union Berlin did it to Mainz, who had a great season last year. So I'm very curious if the Mainz is going to continue into this year, but their opening weekend does not inspire confidence. But that's against Union Berlin. We'll see. They still got what's his face with the golf hat. What's his name? Baumgartner? Still got Baumgartner with the goal hat? Or is that the Köln?
That's Köln. Yeah, that's Köln.
Who's the Mainz coach?
Bo Svensson,
who did a great season for them last year. He's still there this year, so we'll see. I don't know. What were your takeaways from the opening weekend?
Yeah. A lot of quality, a lot of good. I mean, I think there's a lot of teams that could be good on paper. I think, yeah, like the ones we mentioned. I think Leipzig, Leverkusen, Frankfurt, Dortmund, they all have quality and they all have question marks. So that's gonna be the most interesting. Who can stick with Bayern the longest?
Well, Hans Wolf was pissed that BVB got that lucky goal versus Köln. His boys, Köln had a good game in the Signal Iduna Park, the Westfalenstadion.
And Köln, I thought, like, also just on paper seemed like they don't have a lot of quality, and I'm a little worried about them this year. I don't know. It's my, I used to be a Köln fan in my childhood days, so I still sympathize, but they might also be in a little bit of trouble this season. I don't know. We'll find out. But yeah, I was excited. I think this coverage is a huge step up for ESPN Plus. This like conference thing was very entertaining. It was really a good time, and it's going to be easy. It's going to be easy to watch a lot of Bundesliga this year. Because you could even do, like, if you had that, you could even do that on replay. I don't watch entire matches
right,
on replay generally, because it's like that's a lot. But I think I would watch this conference on delay because, yeah, it's cool.
No, 100%. It's a great way. They do this in Germany all the time. It's tradition there, but it just never made.
Yeah, the conference. Well, I remember when I was, Sport und Musik, they would have the conference. I was explaining this to my son, and he was just like, "What?" Like the way that Sport und Musik, it's in our opener a little bit. and that the way that show worked, it was like they had little snippets of games, but then they were musical interruptions while the games were going on. They'd have like some tunes playing, and it was not until the last 15 minutes that there would be a live conference. Before that, it would be like, oh, let's check in Köln, and then they would, the Köln correspondent would give you an update about what's been happening in that game, and then they would go, all right, and now let's play some tunes, and that was it until 15 minutes to go. Then it was like all the games live. If a goal was scored, somebody would scream, Dortmund, and you had to but that was only the last, I think, 15, either 10 or 15 minutes of the games.
What I will say, it's still like that sometimes. One of my favorite things to do is finding a radio stream online of the local club. I've been doing that for years, since high school. And sometimes when you listen to the local German radio station of the game, they still play music. It's music, then the game, it's music. And then guess what I did this weekend? You a soccer nerd, so this is what I did. KAS Eupen was playing with Gaga Slonina. And KAS Eupen is a Belgian club, a small club. And it's actually a German language Belgian club. Mm-hmm. A very small part of Belgium is German language. It's the Eupen district. It's still German.
Okay.
And I found the local KAS Eupen web radio stream in German because they the primary language in German. So they broadcast it in German, and I was listening to the game. It'll be like 5 minutes in. They'll be like, Gabriel Slonina hat das gebracht. Jetzt gehen wir zurück zum. And it goes to some DJ who then plays a song for a bit.
Plays a little tune, yeah.
Plays a little tune, and then when it's done, it goes back to the game. So it keeps cutting back and forth.
I think it's a rights issue. I think they have to kind of, at least it used to be.
I don't know if play it for like a couple minutes.
Well, it used to be like you can't just broadcast live. You have to kind of treat it as a news report or whatever. I don't know. But I think that's the explanation. So Gaga Slonina is in Belgium. All right. Yeah, I'm not keeping track of him. I don't know. Are we ever going to?
They won that game. They won that game. He lost his first game last week. He lost 5-0. It was a brutal game for him. But this next game, Eupen played Marvik or whatever, and they won, I think, 3-1, 3-2. So a better game overall. But yeah, anyway, that was just a little sidestep, 100%. Speaking of German media, so yeah, we have the conference, and this is a conference that MLS 360 I thought was going to be. MLS 360 is more of an interview show.
It's too much talk, too much analysis, not enough games, too much analysis.
Well, it's not even analysis. It is a lot of analysis, but it's also like interviews and how do you feel about stuff. And it's like, there's games going on. The German conference is just the games. It's a VO guy being like, let's go check out
You have one studio. You have one studio voice that just makes the transitions, and then you just go from game to game. Yeah, I think that'd be better. Yeah, that's what I was hoping MLS 360 would be, but it's a lot of listening to Sasha question.
Yeah, and Kalen guy. Hopefully that'll change next year. I don't know. There's this whole it would be nice if that changed. I get they have to sell their league, but it just comes off as
it's a lovely thing that ESPN has gotten this right, because they have. Last year it seemed like nobody.
It's the Bundesliga. ESPN's not doing this. It's the Bundesliga.
Yeah. Right.
And rumors are, and this is the Bundesliga's last year with ESPN. Rumors are they're about to switch over to Apple.
So they're promoting their stuff. Okay.
Well, amazing, by the way.
You had a clip to show. You want to?
Speaking of Germany, I think you got it loaded up here, right?
I've got it I tested
it. I don't know. It's a fun little thing.
Tested it during the Open. Oh, wait, what's happening? Okay, I'm going to go. There's Stefan Effenberg.
Ja, wieder. Sag mal, würden Sie jetzt bitte das Set verlassen, aber ganz schnell. Ja, Y-City. Wieder schauen. Ja, wieder schauen. Aber schnell. Sag mal, was ist hier denn los, Vorsichtskraft? Ja, kein Problem. Und das am Sonntagmorgen, du. Naja, gut. Also, sehen, dass Sie.
Okay, so this is Doppelpass.
So we had a set invader.
You know how there's been a lot of pitch invaders lately? That's been increasing. I've noticed it's been increasing. Well, now we have a set invader. And I Googled it. This guy in that exact outfit has invaded several live shows on German TV that weekend
What is
alone.
what is his agenda?
I have no idea. So what does he say? He said Vice City. What is he saying there again? So he just ran off from the audience.
Sag mal, würden Sie jetzt bitte das Set verlassen?
Okay.
Aber ganz
So the host. So when a pitch invader runs on the field, a bunch of security guards tackle him, right, and take him away. This happened. The first thing was the host came by and just threw water in his face, right? Isn't that what I just saw?
Yeah.
And then he walked away. Then he left, right? Or did I see something else? And then Effenberg himself has to stand up, and the other host says, "Yeah, leave the set, but right away, right away." He's like mad, but not really mad. He's not being super physical. He's like right away. And then what does he say on the way out?
Ja, Vice City. Wiederschauen. Ja, Wiederschauen.
He says,
What's
says,
Vice
"Oh,"
City?
He says, like, yeah, that's what the guy is saying. But no, he's just repeating what he's saying. He's like, oh, blah, 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 Y City. All right, goodbye.
So Y City is gibberish to you too?
That must be, it sounds like that's something that this invader person was saying. I don't know.
Hans Wolf says the Wassermann. Yeah, I want to say it one more time. Just look at this guy. He very nonchalantly just throws water in his face. Be like, here you go. Boom, water in the face. Like that's supposed to do anything.
Ja. Wieder. Sag mal, würden Sie jetzt bitte das Set verlassen, aber ganz schnell. Ja, Vice City. Wiederschauen. Ja, Wiederschauen. Aber schnell. Sag mal, was ist hier denn los, Vorsichtsklasse? Ja, kein Problem. Und das am Sonntagmorgen, du.
On a Sunday morning.
Now, he's like,
Whatever
what the
that
hell's
means.
going on here? And on a Sunday morning, no doubt. Yeah, I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine as to what his point is. But I Googled him, and him in that exact outfit crashed ZDF's Morgan Show or whatever as well. Like he crashes live shows. He wants no 15-minute cities? Is that what he's saying? I think it was a 15-minute city.
I don't know.
Who knows? But I thought that was a funny from Doppelpass. You see they're analyzing the Dortmund Cologne game in the back. And then some guy runs, and then all he does is throw water in his face. And that's just times are crazy. Since COVID,
Times are
crazy. Did you see that viral video of that airplane pilot demanding everyone not be crazy on his plane today? He's like, we're flying today. You're going to stay in your seat. You're not going to play your music out loud. You're not going to take your feet out. You're not going to argue against the flight attendant. Pretty much he treated them like elementary school kids. And it was funny and stayed at the times. People are crazy.
So this guy, I'm just catching up here.
Reading about it? Yeah.
This guy's agenda is not political. He is waiting for Grand Theft Auto 6 to come out.
Oh, Vice City.
He's asking
Grand
for
Theft Auto
Vice
City.
He is asking.
What the hell?
He's asking for information as to when Grand Theft Auto is coming out.
So do you think that's a mental health thing? Do you think it's a TikTok prank for him to have a TikTok following, maybe? What do you think that is?
Yeah, probably.
Why would you storm a live soccer show and ask about
all of the above? Because, yeah, for the engagement, man, the engagement.
He's getting press on our podcast. Let's ask him for GTA. Oh, you already got rid of it? All right.
Oh, are we going back?
No, I just wanted to see it now knowing he wants a video game.
All right.
Is that stupid?
Let's watch it one more time.
I need to really analyze this video game angle.
Ja. Sag mal.
Yeah, Grand Theft Auto 6.
Grand Theft Auto 6.
Aber ganz schnell. Ja, Vice City. Wiederschauen. Ja, Wiederschauen.
Ja, Vice
Aber
City.
schnell.
Wiederschauen.
Sag mal, was ist hier denn los, Vorsichtsklasse? Ja, kein Problem. Und das am Sonntagmorgen, du.
Sag mal, was denn hier denn los?
Sag mal, WTF.
Ja, auch on Sonntagmorgen. GTA is an awesome game. Yeah, but it can't. I don't know, that guy.
Not great. Not that this is the sole cause of you're gonna get to ask for it. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, imagine he'll be punished or something. Hansel, Stefan, if you haven't heard about the 15-minute city, don't go down the rabbit hole just yet. Just check them out. All right, something to Google. Something to Google, I guess.
Something to Google.
Something to Google.
Yay! Like we don't have enough to Google.
Okay.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Let's check out next week's. Do you have anything else you want to say? Maybe let's check out next week's fixtures. See what
one of
we
my
got
teams
here.
win a game this year. So we have next week. Yeah, I said already. Bochum against Dortmund.
Dortmund, the mini
kleine Revier Derby.
RB Leipzig against Stuttgart. The battle of the white and red.
The battle
Leipzig
of
versus Stuttgart.
The Verfolger and the wannabe Verfolger. Well, I mean, Stuttgart right now is in first place, so it is.
Yeah, Leipzig.
Leipzig
need their points.
Leipzig is looking to catch up. Freiburg against Bremen. Bremen. Köln against Wolfsburg. Bochum, Dortmund. Heidenheim, Hoffenheim. Another superfluous derby.
The Heim Derby, the Derby of the Heims.
The Heim Derby. Darmstadt, Union Berlin, Gladbach, Leverkusen. That's a derby. They're close to each other.
Yeah.
Mainz, Frankfurt, another one. München, Augsburg. It's local derbies all around. This has to be on purpose, right? It's
MLS rivalry week.
It's like rivalry week in the Bundesliga, yeah.
Well, Leipzig and Stuttgart aren't neighbors.
No,
that would
not
be
every,
if Leipzig
not
played Union Berlin.
Freiburg and Bremen are not either. It's not all games, but there's one.
Leipzig Union would be the DDR derby, right?
At least four of the games have a regional rivalry. I mean, Bayern and Augsburg are not really rivals because they are locally. What am I trying to say? They're in close proximity geographically. Yeah.
Yeah, RB Leipzig, Stuttgart, I give that one Leipzig. Freiburg, Werder Bremen, I'll give it to Freiburg. Köln, Wolfsburg, give it to Köln, baby. Bochum, Dortmund, I give it to Dortmund, unfortunately. Heidenheim, Hoffenheim, I will give that one to... That'll be a tie. Let's say it's a tie. Darmstadt, Berlin, give that one to Union Berlin. Gladbach, Leverkusen, give that one to Leverkusen. Mainz, Frankfurt, I'll give that one to Frankfurt, perchance. It's in Mainz. And then Bayern, Augsburg, got to give it to Bayern.
Huh.
Those are my predictions.
Only one tie. All right. I predict all games will be ties except Bayern. Bayern will beat Augsburg. Everybody else will be a tie.
We've seen that before, I think. All right. Even so, Bochum gets himself a nice tie against Dortmund. Good.
That's right. Scoreless.
Yeah. Okay. You have any other sort of thought? The only other big thought I was going to say.
Yeah, you had something to say. You had something on your mind. Let's hear it.
Just the big thought. Just the big thoughts. This might be silly. What's the big question when it comes to the Bundesliga?
Who has the best beer?
Close. Although I don't know. I think that's good. Talk about a 12-way tie, right? I'm sure they all have the best beer. But the big question is Bayern München. Is the beer in Heidenheim really gross?
Well, it's more of a wine. It's more of a wine region.
Oh well, same with Mainz, right? Mainz is more of a wine region, ish.
Ish.
Ish. I mean, all regions
of Germany.
It's the
same general area.
Yeah, but anyway, Bayern München, right? They're the only elite club in the league. Who can compete against Bayern München? People want it to be Dortmund. But Dortmund have already said that they have a financial obligation to their fans and their clubs. So they can't do business the way Bayern München does business. Not right now, at least. So that's inherently flawed. Borussia Dortmund will always be the underdogs there. And they got close. God bless them. But the paperwork suggests that they're not close to Bayern München at all. But Borussia Dortmund didn't just spend $110 million on a forward. They lost. They sold $110 million for the Jude Bellingham. So you think to yourself, which clubs in Germany can realistically compete with financial muscle? And I think of 2 or 3. How you look at it? Yeah, VfB Bochum's not one of the ones I'm looking at. They keep their business nice and small. They're probably run part-time by a guy who also runs the Aldi market down the street or however they operate.
Derogatory nonsense.
Let's just say they're doing a good job, but they have a policy where they never spend money on players. So that's tells you where they are as a club. And more power to them, but they're an elevator. They're an elevator fine, right? They're proud to hop back and forth. They're not interested in getting a loan out.
Used to be unabsteigbar. All right. So
Germany has 2 corporate clubs grandfathered in, Werksvereins, Bayer Leverkusen, and Wolfsburg. And then in a lot of ways, they also have RB Leipzig. It's that they're not grandfathered in at all. They're the opposite, but they're also a big corporate club, right? They're backed by a giant drinking conglomerate, even though they pretend they're not, but they are. So I think to myself, Borussia Dortmund are an independent entity. They have an excuse. All that Bochum, everybody has an excuse. The only 3 clubs that do not have an excuse are RB Leipzig, Bayer Leverkusen, and Wolfsburg. Am I wrong? Like, they should. Volkswagen, Bayer, and Red Bull are backing these clubs. Tell them they're billion-dollar multi-conglomerates.
But they're not.
Maybe even trillion.
Bayer's not. I mean, Bayer Leverkusen's called that because it used to be like the team of the workers there. It's not. They're not necessarily owned by Bayer. I mean, Bayer is a sponsor, but it's not like
they're subsidized by Bayer. They're grandfathered in. They're a Volkswagen. Like, they're the only ones exempt from the 50+1 rule because they're backed by companies. Like Wolfsburg and Bayer Leverkusen are very much clubs that are owned by those corporations in their logos. I mean, Bayer Leverkusen maybe not as much as Wolfsburg, but Bayer is there subsidizing them. So like, they'll never have financial problems until the companies have financial problems. Same with RB Leipzig. They make billions of dollars. They're as rich as Coke or close to it. Shouldn't they be the only clubs in Germany that can actually choose to match Bayern München spending a little bit? And maybe, on paper at least, give them a run for their money? Because those 3 clubs still operate as sales clubs. Like RB Leipzig, they sell their players. They sold 4 big players this summer. Bayer Leverkusen, same thing. They operate on very mid-level budgets. And I'm wondering if maybe it's regulation of some sort, which it could be, or it's just the companies have gotten normalized the fact that their clubs have to pay their own bills, if that makes sense. So my thought is, like, shouldn't they be able to match Bayern München financially? That's my thought.
Okay.
What I'm saying is those clubs maybe are, I don't know. Maybe I'm talking out of my butt. Maybe they have clear Bundesliga regulations forbidding them from dipping into corporate coffers. Which is probably
I mean, I mean, I think the insinuation is that these companies should just pour money into these teams.
I mean, that's what they do everywhere else in Europe. I know it's not a German thing, but they're doing that everybody else. And so if you look at Germany, it's like it might be time for the Bundesliga to call those clubs and be like, you know what, you're a Volksverein. You're like, you're allowed to pump money in because it's the club you own. Maybe you pay a luxury tax. I don't know. It's more in that financial. It's just something I'm thinking about as far as the financial circumstances of the Bundesliga. It's not going to get any better. Bayern München's getting richer and the rest of the clubs are getting poorer. So I'm just, I just had that thought of being like, those are the only clubs that really have no excuse. They can today match Bayern München spending. They must be able to because they got huge corporate backers. No, that's just my thought. I don't know.
Okay.
Something to think about.
I mean, this is all right. Well, obviously you can talk about this for a long time. First of all, it's not Bayer Leverkusen is not owned by Bayer. I don't know. It's a common misperception, but they're not. It's not. They were founded by Bayer.
I think they're like they own at least 50%. They're still very involved. I don't know if they're full owners. They might be, but they're at least half owners. They own the 49%. You know what I'm saying? If there's a 50+1, I think the relationship is still pretty strong. It's not as independent as they're letting out. They are subsidized by Bayer. I could be wrong. Maybe we should maybe I should go. I just know that there are a couple clubs exempt from the 50+1, the Werksvereins, and there are two of them. Both there were more, but there's only two that survived: Wolfsburg and Bayer Leverkusen.
No, but there's others. There's like Carl Zeiss Jena. There's other teams that
Right.
have have these traditions, but they're not necessarily owned by these entities just because they originate in that way. So it's not the case that, I mean, but it doesn't. It also is. I mean, I guess this speaks to the idea that this is a charity, right? Like you should just find rich people. I mean, to subsidize it. That's what you're saying. Like, so at the same time, we should just find Saudi owners or some other companies to pour money into these teams. Like that's the answer. I mean, it has to be sustainable.
RB Leipzig doing?
It has to be sustainable in some way, you know.
But what's RB Leipzig doing? What have they been doing the past 10 seasons?
Well, but I mean, but every team has sponsors. You're getting financial support. Obviously, the structures vary, but I think
I just find it weird that RB Leipzig bought a little club, right? They bent the rules a little bit with how they do it, and they took this little like 4th division, 5th division club, and turned it into Germany's essentially second biggest club. They they did it by spending money. Right? They pumped money in it. They bought players with money. They built their big stadium. They renovated the stadium, I think, for the World Cup, maybe a little before that. But money, right? And they grew that club with money, and they stopped one step short of Bayern München. Why did they stop? Why are they a sellers club now all of a sudden? Why didn't they keep growing? How about that? That's sort of more my thought. Shouldn't RB Leipzig be able to at least compete financially? I mean, they're subsidized by a huge corporation. They are. If you I know they're bending the rules a little bit. I know they're pretending they're not, but they 100% are. So I'm just curious as to why RB Leipzig specifically, stopped one step short of being as big as Bayern München. You know, because all they're doing is spending money. It wasn't organic. There's nothing organic about RB Leipzig.
Right. That's true. Yeah.
So those are the thoughts bouncing around in my head. Just curious as the big thought, something big to think about before we commit to watching another full season again. Just something to think about, just stuff to think about. Because I love the Bundesliga, but the big talk is like how to stop Bayern München. It's 11 seasons in a row. What are we going to do about it? We got to do something.
Well, I mean, they just voted down this influx of cash that was supposed to come. Yeah, I mean, I think people are thinking about it, how to make this, how to generate more money. But I think just to be like, oh, find rich people to just hand it over. I don't think
that's how they do it everywhere else, though. Like we're the only league trying to not figure that out.
Well, there's different. I mean, every club is different in a little way. So you have, I mean, in England, obviously, you have all these. You have the oil people, the Abu Dhabis and Saudi owners who have basically unlimited funds. But in general, most other owners, there's some kind of return it's a financial investment. It's not necessarily just
people are buying up Italy.
Drain.
That's Italy is the same as England, so it's right behind it. I don't know.
Yeah, but they're also not sinking unlimited funds into those teams.
But they're lucky in that Italy, there's 5 or 6 clubs all in the same financial sphere. We're the only league where only one club figured that out. Like Spain, Barcelona and Real Madrid keep each other honest. Italy, you got both Milans, you got Napoli, you got Juventus, Roma. They're all keeping each other honest. England, you got the big club. I mean, England.
But you let Dortmund off the hook though. They made like $1 billion, or how was it, $600 million in transfer fees over the last however many years.
Really?
Like they should be able to compete.
Yeah, that's true. I've talked about it before. But the reality of Dortmund is they've had financial troubles in their past many times.
Sure.
They've almost gone out of business. And for them, they made a very conscious decision to be financially solvent. More important, make it the most important thing for them is that they never have financial troubles ever again. So they sell and they save and they sell and they save. That's just the philosophy of Borussia Dortmund. And that is the only club that can match Bayern foot to foot. And it blows my mind. Because Bayern München's philosophy isn't about saving. They're financially solvent as well. But they're about investing and spending. They're a big, open spending global super brand.
But they also have decades of success and decent financial management behind them. Right. Yeah, I mean that's true. Dortmund were close, and then they completely fell apart and were irresponsible. You know, like the other big teams that have the same potential in terms of their commercial appeal and fan bases have not been managed well for consistently. Like Schalke being a good example, Dortmund. Yeah. You know, these are the big clubs, or Hertha. These are the big clubs that potentially could. But I mean, you know, Bayern also, to their credit, have been like this for many years. So this is something.
I'm not blaming Bayern.
That's not easily.
Bayern are great. Love Bayern. Uli Hoeneß, you're right. But this makes me think, what's RB Leipzig's excuse? There's nothing organic about them. They're a giant super conglomerate. What's their excuse?
But but I mean, we'll have to see how this goes. But it seems like Leipzig also deserves some credit for, you know, selling high and buying low. Like it looks like they have replaced these gazillion dollar. I mean, maybe that's the model for the Bundesliga to just do exactly this. To have the Premier League. I mean, the Premier League in terms of their budgets is it's the Super League basically. They have.
I know, but why?
They're in a different stratosphere.
I understand why it's everybody else's model, because they're independent entities and they have to pay their bills. Why is it RB Leipzig's model? They don't have any financial risk. They're subsidized by Why is it their model?
Yeah, but unlike most business people, still, you know, are not just gonna spend unlimited amounts of money. There's some kind of, you know, there's some kind of limit to what they're willing to spend. Maybe they even, or what they would say.
If I'm RB Leipzig, I go buy Son or something from Tottenham, and I go buy Victor Osimhen from Napoli or something, and I put them on our soda cans. I synergize. Just like MLS, the marketing guys. When you bought Matt, you know, it's like buying players is a business model. Putting his face on the commercials, that's a business model. That's what Bayern München are doing. RB Leipzig are matching the economical clubs. What I feel is they should be matching the power club. They should be like, you know what? We're going to do that too. You're going to spend 110 million on Harry Kane. We're going to spend 100 million on Victor Osimhen, and we're going to go right back at you. You versus us. You know, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? There is a financial way for that is a financial choice to spend a lot, make a lot. And RB Leipzig has so little risk. Why aren't they doing that? That's my question. That's all I'm saying. Essentially, my thoughts are like, that's realistically the only club that can solve this problem right now. This Bayern München being the richest club in the world. RB Leipzig is one of the few clubs that can be like, you know what? We're also as rich as you. How about that? Boom. Watch us this year, because they spent 100 million, 150 million on players. So did we. Let's go take a look. You know, they should be able to match them. That's all I'm saying.
All right. Write a letter.
I realize my AC has been on this entire time. Can you hear it?
I don't think so.
I hope not. Sorry. On that thought. All right. Anyway, that's just something that's been bouncing around in my head. I wanted to share with everybody. Something to think about. You know, as fun as the games are, which are the best, the big questions, like a good German, still bounce around in my head. If you haven't, let's see. GTA is an awesome game from Hans Wolf in the chat. It's probably waiting too long for release. True, but those are not appropriate problems for a Bundesliga review show. I'm shocked. I cannot believe that Preußen Münster drew against Bayern München for the Pokal. How about that? Preußen Münster. Giving it up. Good for them.
Bochum out of the Pokal also. we're going to
all the time in the world.
Can fully focus on being terrible in the Bundesliga.
Hey, it's amazing. That's amazing. All right. Any last thoughts or anything?
That's it.
All right. Bundesliga's been a lot of fun. I can't wait.
RB Leipzig. Turn over the couch. Turn over the couch. See if $300 million drop out, and then just go to town.
Well, RB Leipzig, even if they're not spending, I still predict them to have a good year. Get in there. Marco Rosa in the game. Get in there. Hans Wolf, I very much agree with Stefan. I want to try that Messi burger already. Oh, yeah, we're going to get that Messi burger. There's one at Planet Hollywood, I think.
Oh, the Hard Rock Cafe, I believe.
Hard Rock Cafe. I think that's probably more appropriate. Yeah. All right, tschüss, everybody. Bis nächste Woche.
Tschüss.